You'll notice a trend in this analysis where I compare everything to God of War 2018, which is partly due to the fact that these are basically the same games, but Ragnarok is far more ambitious in its storytelling, and expands the 9 realms into places I actually felt like exploring. Ragnarok's most significant step up is in its world building. There are now towns and civilizations to observe, and new factions that have their own goals. The whole thing is a literal culture shock, because I felt 2018 set up the fact that everywhere was deserted, that every realm aside from Asgard was a wasteland in a different biome. It turns out that we didn't travel to the realms where people lived, but that doesn't excuse how none of these other factions showed up in 2018. It's a bad case of we had a good idea for the sequel, but we don't have an excuse for why it wasn't in the last game. In terms of world building itself, while Ragnarok takes massive strides in expanding the Nordic realms, you still can't help but feel like the realms themselves are pretty tiny. These are meant to be alternate universes, but the action still feels constrained to specific areas. Kind of like how in The Rings of Power, the show made a big deal about saving the Southlands, but the Southlands is just one muddy village. But Ragnarok is a huge step up from the previous game. It's a multiverse, but it's a small one. Ragnarok's art style is as colourful as the Rainbow Bridge. The marketing has been highly deceptive, primarily showcasing the dark beauty of Fimbulwinter as harsh blizzards barrel down upon the already broken Midgard. But while Midgard undoubtedly served as the hub in 2018, with brief sojourns to other realms, Ragnarok is a multiversal march, where no realm feels more special than the rest. There's still an overabundance of ice realms like Helheim and Niflheim, but each universe conveys a different kind of beauty. Vanaheim's floral patterns are soothing, and feel out of place in a game with such violent battles. Svartalfheim feels more lively than I knew this franchise was capable of being. The industrial nature of the dwarves means their home feels dangerous, not from the natural beasts, but the countless contraptions that could crumble at any moment. However, there's a connecting thread across all the realms, the effects of Fimbulwinter. Each realm feels like it's on the precipice of collapse due to the events of the last game. The white gales of Midgard determined to snuff out what few lives remained on the mortal world, the geysers of Svartalfheim that forebode an eruption large enough to wash away the dwarven smiths. Santa Monica took great care in making sure the apocalypse in each realm was unique while not becoming boring. The best part of God of War 2018 was its opening chapter. It was an hour that hit all the emotional highs it needed to, the quiet and somber nature of the quest, the spectacle of the battles that would be fought on the journey to come, and introduced us to the reinvented combat system. While Ragnarok saves its best moments for the end, the opening hour is still one of the absolute highlights. The game opens on a quiet moment that reflects how much Atreus has grown since the last game. Then, instead of making an entire emotional sequence like the last game, Ragnarok almost instantly transitions into an action sequence. The section is on rails, so it's not indicative of what the game will be like, but this moment is still a highlight. Then the game goes back to incredibly emotional storytelling, and a tear-wrenching scene that makes you feel horrible for Atreus, and how that innocent boy from the first game is still trying to cling to hope. This is all in the first 15 minutes and done exceptionally well. The game then transitions into the vertical slice of what you'll be doing for the rest of the game, namely gloriously tearing your enemies asunder. Finally, the chapter culminates in one of the tensest cutscenes I've seen since The Last of Us Part 2, before launching us into a spectacular boss fight that's one of the best parts of the game easily. The problem is, it's a retread of the first game. I understand that you wanted, nay, you needed to recapture the lightning in the bottle that was 2018's opening chapter, but this goes beyond an homage. It's utterly fantastic in a way that only this studio could have made it, but Santa Monica could have done the opening in a way that doesn't feel so familiar. 2018 is one of the few games I can claim to have beaten 3 times, for a variety of reasons. but the main reason I'd keep coming back to the game was its phenomenal combat. No other game I've played has anything like it. It combines brutal and gratifying strikes with visual flair, and even a bit of the old Kratos poking his head out through the screams of rage. The combat is the thing that keeps pushing you forward, the thing that makes you never want to stop playing. Therein lies the problem of it being only a part of the gameplay loop. Ragnarok breaks up its unparalleled combat with mostly puzzles. They're good puzzles, never too obscure and not easy enough to breeze through. Still, as gaming becomes more and more realistic, puzzles are beginning to feel conspicuous. It doesn't feel right that the journey of a Spartan and his boy trying to avert Ragnarok would stop so often and try to open a door that Kratos is more than capable of punching through. I only bring this up because of how realistic the game looks. It's a bit jarring to be messing around with gates and gears, especially when it's breaking up an activity as good as the combat. It needs to be here, or else the combat will get repetitive, but I wonder if puzzles will still be around when games like Ragnarok become more common.